Okay, hey guys, what's up? My name is Andrei Ong and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So as you guys may have noticed, I talked about joining a science fair on one of my videos. And on this video, I'll be talking all about that. Now, a little disclaimer, I'm not really a sciencey person, but the story has a happy ending. So let's get started. So I've joined 2 science fair events from different schools in my life. And not to sound like a show-off, but my group and I won them both. I don't know if there's any way to say that doesn't make me sound like a show-off. And if you don't believe me, here are my certificates. Anyways, so my first science fair took place when I was grade 10. I was paired up with the smartest girl in class and we had 2 other members. Our group was called the Sci-Fi Radicals. Yeah, I know, it sounds cool. I came up with it. So there I was coming up with brilliant ideas, doing a lot of research, which basically means I Googled a lot, and in the end it made my room look like this. My first few experiments mostly consisted of electronics, and it helped that my father was an electronic engineer. But I also tried making other experiments for fun. So I've made a flashlight, a car, a flaming fan, marshmallow catapult, mini rockets out of antacids, elephant's tooth, ferrofluid, and whatever this thing was. But the experiment that made it all happen was a smoke bomb. Yes, that's right, a smoke bomb. My smoke bomb experiment failed. I burnt my table and smoke was everywhere. Maybe it wasn't a failure after all. It did smoke and sort of exploded. So the fire was spread and it even burnt a piece of paper with the list of chemicals needed for my next experiment written on it. It may sound like a sad thing, but that led me to my accidental discovery. The pen I used to write down those chemicals was an erasable friction pen. And I realized that heat actually erases the thermochromic ink of the pen. And that is why the pen is called friction, because friction causes heat, which is used to erase the thermochromic ink. So I then tried heating the ink with a lighter. And yes, you guessed right, it disappeared. But that isn't the surprising part yet. The surprising part is that I figured out how to bring it back permanently. I already know that there are multiple ways to bring the ink back. Using a keyboard duster, liquid nitrogen used in fridges, so you can even put it in the fridge to bring it back. The common thing about that is coolness. If you need heat to erase the ink, then to bring back the ink you will need to cool it down. But I discovered another way that would permanently return the ink using heat. At the time, I was also making another experiment, which was producing hydrogen by combining hydrochloric acid with aluminum instead of zinc. Well, it was hard to get my hands on hydrochloric acid, so instead I used an alternative, which was a corrosive bathroom detergent called Acido Liquido. And a few days after the science fair, I guess that product was banned from the country, because I couldn't find it anywhere when I needed it for my next science fair. Upon combining aluminum foil with acido liquido, it causes a reaction and produces hydrogen, but with impurities. That impure hydrogen is passed through water in order to purify it and get pure hydrogen. But this is what I discovered. The impurities, when exposed to the erased thermochromic ink, brings it back permanently. I initially tried to do this in hopes of erasing the ink, due to the heat of the impure hydrogen produced, but the result turned out to be better. And in the end, I came up with this contraption. Yeah, cool. So the next day was the trial of projects day, and I told my group about my amazing discovery. But sadly, they didn't find it as interesting, and decided to go on with another experiment, which I think was testing of carbon in different types of milk? I'm not sure. So of course I was bummed, and I even brought a big bag with all the equipment needed for my experiment. There were other groups having their trial as well, showing professors and other classmates their projects. And I noticed that their projects were at least successful, but ours was sort of not working out. By that I mean there's still no results of carbon in the milk, I think. I could even hear a few other groups talking about our group, and some even went closer to our table just to make fun of our project. And at that moment, I had enough. This next part that I'm going to be telling you guys might seem like a scene from a movie, but believe me, this actually happened. I stood up in a chair, wrote on my notebook with a friction pen, prepared a lighter, and called the attention of everyone in the lab, including our professor. I told them this is our experiment, and they all clapped as they saw the ink vanish like magic. And I told them that that's not all. I could bring it back if my group was willing to help me. I looked over to my group members and they all agreed. Everyone watched as my group and I set the equipment for my big bag. And everyone clapped again once the thermochromic ink was brought back.
There's more. There's more. Yeah, we need a fast reaction.
It's back. Yes, it's returned. Yeah, in the bottom. Yeah. Oh no, that one's for me. Don't use it. After showing that experiment, coincidentally the bell rang and it was time for recess. But my group and I stayed in the lab because our professor really liked our project and wanted to know more about it. And yeah, that's pretty much how my idea got chosen. So the rest of the group went for lunch and I was still in the lab packing up. And before I left, I might have stolen some HCl because I was running out of acido liquido, which later on helped me remember what type of hydrochloric acid I used when the science fair judges asked me. It was concentrated hydrochloric acid 38%. So as I was about to leave, a mysterious woman showed up. I thought she was gonna scold me for taking some HCl, but instead she just complimented our group's project and said that it was great. As I was about to thank her, she continued and said, "Great for third place." I just continued to thank her and left without looking back. It was really a strange moment. So then came the day of the event, and we were all nervous. Not only were the judges from other schools, but there were almost 300 groups competing in the science fair. There were cameras and everything. I think it was going on the news. Our group's table was the 218th, if I remembered correctly, and it was a really hot day, so my nose started bleeding at some point, non-stop. And there were a lot of blood stains from the lab coat that I borrowed from my mom, so I had to borrow someone else's. I literally looked like a doctor that just saved a person's life. Anyways, we called our project Reversible Pen, and we decided to add the production of hydrogen to our project. Oh, and I also brought a small friend on that day, which was a lizard for good luck. Surprise, surprise, the judges loved their project. Next thing I knew, everyone at school had been talking about my experiment. 3 days after was awarding day and our group Sci-Fi Radicals was announced first place. Okay, maybe they didn't call us Sci-Fi Radicals, but I called us that. And at that moment, I don't know if I was seeing things, but among the crowd, I saw the mysterious woman once again, which reminded me of our first group's experiment, which was still ongoing on the laboratory. And I jokingly told my group mates that maybe there's a result now. Finally. That was an experience to remember, but it didn't end there. 2 years later, on my last year of high school, I've had another science exhibit on a different school and I had new group members. I used the same project, but this time I included some of my other experiments. Since our group had more time and the whole classroom to ourselves, I included the flashlight circuit explained by Siraj, the rocket experiment explained by Salim, and finally the main project, reversible pen / hydrogen production, explained by Isaac and I.
Hydrogen, this balloon. Thank you.
Once again, my group and I were announced the winners shortly after we presented our science project. And at the time, there was another competition for mathematics. So it was a last-minute decision that I had to join. Fortunately, we got second place. It's over here if you don't believe me again. Anyways, that is it for this long story of how I won the science fair twice in my life. Hope you enjoyed and didn't click away when I started to sound all nerdy. It was concentrated hydrochloric acid 38%. Make sure to like this video, comment on this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I will see you all in the next video. See ya.